One, Islam to all the Moors. Welcome to the free astrotheology class. Our textbook is The Devil's Pulpit. Sorry, y'all, my book got caught in a storm. Me and my book. But anyway, this is our course textbook, The Devil's Pulpit by the Reverend Robert Taylor. So, when I get some time, I'm going to take it and have it rebound. Oh well, it is what it is, y'all. Got to deal with it. So let's get started. We're in the lecture on the cup of salvation still. So there, we're going to pick up on these 13 points where we left off. Okay. So give me 1 second, y'all. I had a hard time getting started. Dealing with haters. For real. Y'all just... You wouldn't believe if I told you some of the difficulties I have to go through in terms of obstruction, just sabotage and hating to do these videos. Not all the time, but quite often. When you're in a place where the people have been colonized and oppressed, they have that colonized mentality. So as y'all know, that this country where I'm at right now has been colonized and enslaved. Similar history to ours in North America, in Morocco. So give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Okay, so let's pick up on page 234. Halfway down. The paragraph beginning halfway down. But see now how, to all the definitions, even to the most apparently incongruous and contradictory of this sacramental cup. So the sacramental cup is the crater, the constellation, okay? Astrologically. So that's concrete, that's nature. Okay? Even to the most apparently incongruous and contradictory of this sacramental cup. What are we talking about? The definitions, okay? Answers this cup of the celestial sphere as thus. So we're going to go into 13 points. First, it is the cup of salvation. You drink of it and are saved. Of course, that's the religious doctrine, right? You drink of this cup and you are saved. Psalms. I gotta brush up on my Roman numerals because I don't remember this one. It's CX. C as in cake or Charles. CX. C Centi 126. Yeah. CX VI 126 verse 13. Because it preserves the SUN sun's vital heat within you, without which you would go dead. Okay, y'all? So it is the cup of salvation. Remember, the cup of salvation, this is the celestial equator. Hold on, y'all. This is the celestial equator. This is September 21, 22. This is the constellation. the crater. Okay? So every year at the end of the wine venting season, which is September 29, the blood of the grapes that the winemakers have pressed in the wine press flows out into the cup of salvation, the crater. Okay? So of course, wine, the alcohol, has a hot feeling, right? When you drink it. So it keeps you warm. So this is what the author is talking about. That's the first. But what else? I almost forgot to mention this. So the sun, the energy of the sun is absorbed into the grape, but it's absorbed into all vegetation and all living things. So energy from the sun gets absorbed into the grape, and then that energy is stored, remains in the grape and in the grape juice, right? So the next creature that eats it, they eat the energy from the sun that has been absorbed and stored in the grape juice or the wine. Y'all got it? And in school, you'll learn about this as the food cycle. So the energy is transferred from the sun into the vegetation. And then when let's say the animals eat the vegetation, the energy that's stored in the vegetation is now consumed and becomes a part of whatever animal that ate that vegetation. And then the energy that's in that animal, when another animal eats it, then the energy from the sun is transferred into the next animal. So when we eat the grape juice, when we drink the grape juice, we're drinking the stored energy from the sun. Okay, y'all? So point number 2. Y'all can learn more about that. Just Google search food cycle. Or is it the food? Yeah, food cycle. Okay, number 2. It is the cup of damnation. So the cup of salvation is also the cup of damnation. You drink of it and be damned. Because after the sun has shed his precious blood, note y'all, after the sun has shed his precious blood. So that's a personification of the blood, not to be confused with the son, okay, like they do in the Gospels. Because after the sun has shed his precious blood, into it, his reign, or the sun's reign, in the summer months is over. And to hell and Tommy, the sun must go. So again, y'all, remember, this is the autumn equinox, September 21, 22, and then it's at the end of winemaking season, which is September 29th. The blood of the grape again flows out of the wine press into the crater, the cup of salvation. So one day after, September 29 is St. Michaelmas Day. One day after Christ is taken off of the cross, but y'all know that according to the gospel, according to the grammar, Christ was never crucified. It was Simon the Cyrenian who was crucified according to the grammar. But let's go along with the religious doctrine. Christ is taken off of the cross. So when the sun falls below the celestial equator, Christ is crucified. In the ark, you'll see Mary, who is Virgo, standing at the foot of the cross. Why? Because this is the autumn equinox. Virgo is before Libra, right before Libra. And at one time, the scales of justice were a part of Virgo. Okay, so Mary is sitting at the cross, the proximity of the Zodiac sign. The sun crosses below the celestial equator. That's Christ crucified. And there is the image of Mary and Jesus. Mary standing at the foot of Jesus, who is hanging on the cross. The next day, Jesus is taken off of the cross, and he is taken to hell by Michael the Archangel, which is October 1 all the way through March 18, 19, 20, all the way into the end of winter and the beginning of spring. The spring usually begins around March 21 to March 22. So note, y'all, so from Aries, from the, hold on, let me try to show it. So this is the celestial equator. So here's Aries, here is, let's say, Libra, okay? Here's Aries. Aries, March 21, 22, that's the spring equinox, okay, y'all? The spring equinox. So the sun is ascending. Y'all see that? It reaches its peak on June 21, 22. After that, Christ, the sun at the summer solstice is Christ. After that, it begins to fall. It begins to fall because we're entering into fall season, into autumn. And then at September 21, 22, the sun will be at exactly the celestial equator. This is the autumn equinox. So this, scholars, this is the royal ark. This is the kingdom of the heavens. So these 7 months, beginning from March all the way to the end of September, right, the end of September, September 30th, these are the months where the sun dominates, the sun reigns. These are the hot months of the year, spring, summer, and fall. And then in October begins the winter months. So when the sun continues to fall, we enter into October. Well, now Christ is going to hell. Hell, as you recall, this is the summer solstice, this is the winter solstice. So hell is December 21, 22, which is the winter solstice. Okay, y'all? So Christ, having been crucified and taken off of the cross, is accompanied by Michael the Archangel. Remember, Michael the Archangel is standing here at the foot of the royal ark. And this is the royal ark, the kingdom of the heavens. Okay? So the zodiac signs that are in the summer, that are in the spring and summer months, these are the kingdom of the heaven zodiac signs. Here's Michael the Archangel. He has the ark of the kingdom of the heavens on his shoulders. And he accompanies Christ to the winter solstice, which is hell. Right, y'all? And then December 21, if I'm not mistaken, is St. Thomas's Day. Why is it St. Thomas's Day? Because the sun has been falling. It's been falling since June 25, okay? And it's continuing to fall. All right? So around December 17th, it's beginning to reach its lowest point in the southern part of space. So by December 21, the Apostle Thomas, doubting Thomas, he doubts that the sun will ever rise again. Why? Well, because it's been falling. And from December 21, 22, up until December 25th, the very beginning of December 25th, scholars note that the sun, having cast a 1 degree shadow every day of the year, stops casting a shadow on December 21, 22, up until the very end of December 24th at 12 midnight, which is the exact beginning of December 25th, where the sun now casts a full 1 degree shadow, and this is Christ being resurrected, or Christ being born again, or even a new Christ being born again. Okay, that's the gospel story, and that's the mythology for all of the solar deities. Okay, y'all? That's the mythology for all of the solar deities. Okay? So that's, Tommy is a condensed form of St. Thomas Day. or doubting Thomas. Why did he doubt? He doubted that the sun would ever rise again because it had been falling since the summer solstice. Okay, y'all? That's the astrological solution. So, in other words, when you drink of that cup after September 29, the sun is going straight to hell. The sun is going to its lowest position in the southern part of space, which is the winter solstice. That's the astrological solution. Okay, let's continue. Number 3. And by the way, that process cannot be broken. That's the natural law. Okay, 3rd, the cup of consolation. This is taken from Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 7, y'all. Because it consoles us for the absence of the sun, sun, whose blood is poured into it. Y'all got that? So it's also the cup of consolation. Because when you're cold, or even when you're feeling down, right? You drink a glass of wine, it makes you feel better. It warms you up, it makes you feel better. Why? Because remember, y'all, in the wintertime, the nights are getting longer than the days. And then if you are unfortunate enough to be, let's say, in Alaska, where I understand they have 4 to 6 months of 24 hours of darkness, or wherever that is on the globe. If not, I think it's Alaska, because I knew someone who suffered from severe depression, and he was from Alaska. I knew 2 people from Alaska. Every year they would suffer from severe depression due to sunlight deprivation. Okay, y'all? And they would suffer from severe depression, sunlight deprivation. So when you get some wine in you, you feel warm and you feel better. Right? Of course, that's not saying that you're drinking all the time to become an alcoholic, or that would lead to alcoholism. That's not what it's saying. It's just saying it can make you feel better, right? The taste of it, the effects of alcohol. Okay, so it's a cup of consolation. 4, it is the cup of trembling. So the cup of salvation is also the cup of trembling, according to Isaiah L. Y'all, what does L? Is L 60 or 50? I don't remember what the L is in the Roman numerals. So it's Isaiah L I, verse 22. I think that's 60, but y'all check it. Capital L I. I need to review the Roman numerals because I forgot. So 4, the cup of salvation is also called, or it is also the cup of trembling. As you see, it stands but half its rim on the slimy back of the water snake. The most slippery position, I was talking about the eel, the E-E-L, remember? So let's again. As you see, it stands but on half its rim on the slimy back of the water snake, the most slippery position that could possibly be imagined, as if to admonish us of that heaven recorded moral. So here it is, quote unquote. There's many a slip, twist the cup and the lip. So I didn't get that. I'm gonna have to come back to that. That totally went over my head. That one totally went over my head. I did not get that. Five. It is the cup of grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay? It's the cup of grace because it is the concentrated essence of virtue, juice and blood of the true vine, That's Mark chapter 15, verse 1. Who is the Lord Jesus Christ? So clearly, scholars, hold on. So this is the celestial equator. Okay, so 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night, 12 hours of night. So evenness of the length of days and night, that's justice. Okay, that's the concrete or celestial origin of the abstract or the Greek paradigm, the abstract paradigm, let's call it the Greek paradigm, or the Christian paradigm of justice, of righteousness, of equity, of inequity. Concretely, it is the vernal or spring equinox and the autumn or fall equinox. The evenness of the days and nights, if y'all can remember it that way. The evenness of the length of days and night, remixed into the abstract Greek or religious paradigm of justice, righteousness, equity, and inequity. Okay? Sin. Well, no, I'm sorry, not sin. Not sin. Anyway, let's continue, y'all. 6. So the cup of salvation, listen, y'all, because it is concentrated, it is the concentrated essence of virtue, juice and blood of the true vine. Why is it the concentrated essence and virtue? Because again, the sunlight, beginning from spring, beginning from March, the sunlight has been shining on that baby grape plant, right? And it's been absorbing all of that sunlight in June and July, which the sun, the orientation is the northern hemisphere. The sun is at its most powerful intensity. All of that sunlight, all of that energy is being absorbed into the plant, into the grape. Okay, y'all? So you have concentrated sun energy locked in and stored in the grape, which pours off or pours out of the wine press into the crater, the cup of salvation. So that's why it's the concentrated essence of the sun, the concentrated virtue. What's the virtue? The even length of day and night, remixed into religion in the abstract as justice, righteousness, equity. Okay, justice, righteousness, equity. Juice, because it's literally juice. It is the blood of the grape. Okay, so in those senses, we refer to the cup of salvation as the true vine, and it's cited in John 16, verse 1. And who is the true vine in Christianity? What's the religious or the gospel remix? The true vine is Jesus Christ. Okay, y'all? Jesus Christ is the true vine. So Jesus Christ is the cup of salvation, according to John chapter 6, verse 1. Okay, y'all? Now, 6. It is the cup of the fierceness, of the fury, of the warmth of Almighty God, according to Revelation chapter 14, verse 10. So the cup of salvation is the cup of the fierceness, of the fury, of the wrath of Almighty God. Why? Because the fiercer and the hotter is the sun, the richer and the better is our wine. Y'all got that? So in other words, the more sunlight that the grapes absorb, the more sunlight, the more energy it will store. And that will increase the quality of the wine. All right, y'all? So it has nothing to do with any physical warfare or violence. Nothing to do with that at all. But that is not to say that the priestcraft, that the dark priesthood, practicing Babylonian magic, creating events to provide you evidence that these Bible prophecies are being fulfilled. And that's what they're doing. They're practicing dark Babylonian black magic on you. Okay? That's exactly what they're doing. Do y'all hear me? And so because you've been taught, because you're unaware that this is astrotheology, and all of these verses have an astrological solution, and you've been indoctrinated to believe that these are prophecies that are going to be fulfilled, they can come in and engineer, create situations, create wars and rumors of wars, etc., to put you in the mindset of fear that will totally change what you're focused on every day, what you do every day, how you live your life every day, put you in survival mode. You start going to church more, start going to the camp more, start tithing more, start giving more money. Why? Because you're afraid. You think the end is about to come. Bible prophecy is being fulfilled right before your eyes. Unbeknownst to you, that those who are in power, those secret society members, y'all call them the elite. Behind closed doors, they're all friends, just like in professional wrestling, just like in politics, U.S. politics. Yeah, they argue, they fight, they pretend like they're against one another, but then you'll see them out to dinner, or they're at each other's house playing poker. Why? Because they are only presenting to you a show, a play, the God show. Y'all know the concept, the world is a theater? So they're giving you a show, the God show. Okay, y'all? So they pretend like they're against each other, fighting each other. But when the war was over, there's a lot of evidence to say that Adolf Hitler lived out his life in South America or someplace else. Everybody's heard of that. Whether it's true, I don't know. I wasn't there. But way before my time. But it's through these secret societies, y'all. See, everybody's got a vested interest in controlling you. Why? Because you are the rightful heir. You're the rightful heir of all land, all water, all resources, oil, gas, mineral resources, human resources, if you understand what I'm saying to you, and all energies, earthly and celestial. You're the rightful heir. You're the substance and subject matter of the law. You should not pay for anything. They should be paying you a rent. But the only way they can keep you in poverty and struggling and paying them. And by the way, in Morocco, well, in North America, you can't pay anything, right? There's no money. But they got you slaving, giving up your energy in exchange for the basic necessities of life. Why? Because of your religious paradigm. And it's my position that until you come out of this religious paradigm, meaning that you are no longer afraid of these gods, these fake gods that your forefathers have never known, and that they have never done you any good, only harm. Until you are able to separate yourself from that, where you're not honoring and worshiping them, and you're not afraid, and you're not, especially not praying to them, invoking them, until you get to that point, you will always be susceptible to being triggered. And you may not even be consciously aware that you have been triggered. And you go back into the bondage mentality. Y'all hear me? In other words, you transport yourself back into the religious narrative. You transport yourself back into Oz. And instead of seeing a foreigner or a Han Uman, you see the sovereign of the land. Narrative transportation. The curse of the Christ, the curse that Jesus put on those people who are not on those people who are on the outside of the house. The curse where, although having eyes to see, you cannot perceive. There's Han Uman is standing right in front of you. A beggar, a beggar, a pauper, and a fugitive from justice, as our ancestors called the Europeans. A Han Uman, a beggar, a pauper, a fugitive from justice, a hybrid, a troglodyte, a Negro, a nigger. But you see the sovereign of the land. Your eyes have been coupled from your mind. Okay? JC said, I speak to the masses of the people in parables, so that although having eyes to see, they cannot perceive, and having ears to hear, they can never understand. So that, why did he say it? Why did he say it? He said, because if they ever understood, they would have a chance to repent and be saved. And be saved. So this is the curse that you're under. When you see the Han Uman, the human, the Paleolithic, hybrid, troglodyte nigger, the Negro, you see the sovereign of the land. That's a curse. When you hear speech, you've been trained in connotative linguistics. So you don't understand what's being spoken. And you darn sure don't understand it when you read it. Why? Because of the curse I just talked about. The mysteries of the heavens, or the mysteries of the kingdom of God, according to JC, are only for his apostles. And that's who he told them to. Okay, now what's the kingdom of the heavens? It begins at Aries, the vernal equinox. It's all the constellations. So as the sun rises, and then it falls, it falls, right, until the autumn equinox, the royal arc. In other words, the summer months, spring, summer, and fall. That's the kingdom of the heavens. All right, y'all? So what are the mysteries? Well, those are the mysteries he's talking about. Okay? So anyway, let's continue with the text. Number 7. So the cup of salvation is the cup, as you see, of pure virgin Bethlehem. The cup of salvation, as you see. Let me repeat that. Number 7. It is the cup, as you see, of the pure virgin of Bethlehem. That's John chapter 2, verse 3. Well, that's Virgo, right? The bread, Bethlehem, bread, okay? The virgin Virgo, 8. Or 8, rather. But look again, sirs, and forgive me. It is the cup of the scarlet lady of Babylon in Revelation chapter 17, verse 4. So there's a footnote. Let's look at the footnote. The footnote, we're on page 235. The footnote reads, y'all, Mr. Taylor, that's the author, explained privately to Gentleman the Ninth. That must be a magazine or newspaper, y'all. It is, quote, the cup of fornication, end quote. So the cup of salvation is also the cup of fornication, as it stands under the point of the junction of the two pairs of legs, the forks made by the crossing of the equator by the ecliptic. Okay, let me show y'all that. Here's a celestial equator. This line is the ecliptic. Y'all see that? 2 legs. What's between the woman's legs? These are the 2 legs. The 2 legs. What's here, y'all? Her vagina, right? So here again, this is the celestial equator. This is the ecliptic, the apparent path of the sun from the point of view of the earth. Somebody standing on the earth. The angle between these 2 lines is between 23 and 23.5 degrees. Again, between 23 and 23.5 degrees. Okay? So the lady's vagina is between the legs. So it is the cup of fornication. So that's coming out of Revelation chapter 17, verse 4. So you will not ever get this solution in the church or your Hebrew Israelite camp or assembly, because they're not trying to put you on game. They don't want you to know this. They don't want you to know it. Why? Because those who are in the know, they are using it, and they're using it in a negative way to gain control over you, to gain access to your consort. That's the masculine or the feminine. Y'all know how they roll in the churches. And your children. Now this is the truth, y'all. Let me see if I can find it for you. So those of you who might think I'm just talking trash. Y'all, this is in the chapter about Zoroaster. The worshipers of Zoroaster, the Prince of Darkness, right? What are they doing? What are these religious leaders doing? Do y'all remember? They are doing ceremonies and rituals to gain complete control over your mind and your body. To become omnipotent over your life. Not just yours, but the whole congregation. Now, let me see if I can find this, y'all. So y'all won't think I'm just talking. Okay? Where is it? Hold on. Does anyone know exactly what page that is on? Give me one. So this is how sinister these religious leaders are, how two-faced, how deceitful and deceptive, how wicked they is. Hold on, y'all. I think I may have found it. I'm close. I'm close. It's at the very beginning of the book, y'all. I remember I made a note as to where it is, so I'm getting close. Y'all know it's where he talks about Zoroaster, give me 1 second. If I don't find it, I'll come back to it. All right. But it's definitely here for those of you who want to know. It is definitely here. They are performing rituals. They're performing rituals to gain omnipotence, not just only over you, but over the entire congregation. What that means is that anybody who hears or sees them, and I found it, page 36. Page 36 of the Devil's Pulpit. Let me show you what these dirty, rotten, two-faced bastards are doing to you behind your back, and you think they're helping you. Okay, let me show you. And don't think, scholars, that you are here, but you're not supposed to be here. If you are here, you're supposed to be here. Okay, you are supposed to be here. So don't run. Stay. Here it is. Now remember, y'all, on page 35, we're introduced to the fact that these people are magicians. They are magi. On the dark side, though. On the dark side, though. Okay? Page 36. Here we are. Nope, page 35. I got to start. Y'all remember, this is dealing with the theosophy. Remember that? So let's begin. It says here, a demonstration never to be withdrawn. This is the bottom of page 35. That the whole story of the gospel, from the first story to the last story of the gospel, was derived from these magi, and never was nor is any other than the ancient occult or hidden science. Listen to what the Spirit is saying to you. Never was nothing more but the occult or hidden science, which the Apostle Paul calls the theosophy, or wisdom of God in a mystery. The mysteries of the kingdom of the heavens, the mysteries of God. Black art, y'all. Dark Babylonian magic. Let's continue. But which, in plain English, is the black art or magic? Okay, y'all? Mosquitoes. Quote unquote. Listen, this is the Apostle Paul. For all of you followers of Paul. Quote unquote. We speak wisdom, says he, says Paul, to them that are perfect. Now, who are the perfect men? Well, the perfect men, y'all remember who the perfect men are? According to this author in Freemasonry, the perfect men are those people who were invited to get the degree of Royal Ark. What's the other one, y'all? Get the degree of Royal Ark. It's funny how sometimes I remember this stuff like boom, 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 and then other times I gotta check for the page. Royal Ark, no, Grand Royal, Royal Ark, and autops, right? Those men are selected to receive those degrees. They're selected. And once they get them, they are called perfect men and eyewitnesses. Although they have been eyewitnesses to nothing and they damn sure ain't perfect, right? Because they are, as the author tells you, into drugs, wild orgies, and a lot of alcohol. Okay, now that's out of the author's own mouth. Now this, of course, is 1831. All right, so things usually don't get better; they usually get worse. They usually get worse, right? And that's also according to natural law. I wish I could find it so I can reach it, but y'all go. It's page 200 and something, close to where we are. But let me go back. Okay, so we speak wisdom, says Paul, to them that are perfect. Yeah, they speak wisdom to those Freemasons who have achieved or who were selected to enter into the degree of autops, Grand Royal, and Royal Ark. I think those are the three. Okay, y'all? He's not talking to you on the outside of the house. Don't get it twisted. He ain't that much talking to you. Okay? You don't have anything to do with it. So don't try to include yourself in the mix. He ain't talking to you. Let's continue. We speak wisdom to them that are perfect, i.e., to the initiated. Initiated into what? The autops degree, the Royal Ark degree, and I think it's the Grand Royal. But no, the Grand Noble. It's the Grand Noble. Or Noble Grand. Yeah. Autops, Noble Grand, and Royal Ark degrees. Where those people are selected, and once they are selected to get those degrees, they are then taught that the Gospels are astrotheology. That the Gospels are astrotheology. Ain't none of it real. We speak wisdom, and there's the wisdom. We speak wisdom to them that are perfect, that is, to the initiated, to them that are up to the trick on it. See, if no one ever gave you the game, or dropped game on you, as they say in the street, you're not up on the trick of it. Yet not the wisdom of this world, i.e., not a science of anything historical. So it's not the wisdom of this world. The wisdom of this world is physics, right? Chemistry, biology, right, y'all? The medical sciences, what else? Linguistics, law, what else? You name all the sciences. That's the wisdom of this world. Paul is saying, we're not speaking the wisdom of this world. The author says, i.e., not a science of anything historical or that ever really happened. So the wisdom is not historical knowledge or knowledge of history. Paul says it out of his own mouth. Yet we speak wisdom, yet not wisdom of this world. But, the author goes on, but the theosophy, Theosophy. Y'all can look that up. Theosophy. Theosophy. So Paul is speaking theosophy or astronomy in disguise. Astronomy in disguise means what? It's coded. It is a coded message. It is a coded message. What is that called? Astrotheology. Okay, y'all? But the theosophy, which means astronomy in disguise, even the hidden wisdom, occult wisdom, end quote. Now that's out of Paul's own mouth. Now listen. That is, so here's what Paul was saying. He gives the Greek. Look at this Greek word. So we're going to pick up with this Greek word. Y'all see where my fingers are? Take a look at that. So we have this Greek word here. So there's a colon. So Paul says, let me start again. So we have symmetry here, congruity. We speak wisdom to them that are perfect, i.e. to the initiated, to them that are up to the trick on it, yet not the wisdom of this world, i.e. not a science of anything historical or that ever really happened, but the theosophy or astronomy in disguise, even the hidden wisdom. And then there is a colon, and then end quote. And then we see the Greek word I just showed y'all. And the hyphen, not the hyphen, but now the sentence continues. That is the magic, the black art, in honor of which its priests and preachers to this day wear black gowns and black dresses. The very livery itself of their divine master, the Black Prince. Of their divine master, the Black Prince. As you may see by dissecting the word gospel into its radicals. By dissecting the word gospel into its radicals, that is God's spell. That is God's spell. The spell, charm, or magical incantation. By the repetition of certain words, of which, listen y'all, by the repetition of certain words, of which, with your eyes shut and putting your body into the shape of the constellation Orion, one knee up, the other knee thrust away from you, and your hands clasped together, or maybe like this or like this, right? Or like that. It was believed that the power of omnipotence would be bound to attend the conjugation. The conjuration. The powers of omnipotence would be bound to attend the conjuration. This is page 36, y'all. The founders of this dark science or black art are universally admitted to have been these magi. And our Christian antiquaries are proud to quote the celebrated passage from the Zenda Avesta of the Persian Zoroaster, which is found so strikingly coincident. So y'all know it ain't no coincidence, right? With this pretended visit of these Eastern Magi to the stable in Bethlehem. In other words, the gospel writers lifted this event where 3 Magi, 3 diviners, 3 magicians, incorrectly, terribly incorrectly, deceitfully rendered as kings, 3 kings in many Bibles. They lifted it right out of the Zen Avesta of the Persian Zoroaster, quote unquote. Well, I'm not going to go further than that. So I've already demonstrated to you on page 36 that these wicked, two-faced, intentionally deceitful gangsters, thugs, and hoodlums, who we call priests and pastors, reverends and rabbis. Yeah, I said gangsters. Y'all know that, you ever watch gangster movies, like with the Italian gangster movies? They used to be real popular when I was young. The gangsters, they would dress in a way, they look professional, you know, they look like they're not criminals. Well, these are also gangsters. They dress and present themselves in such a way where they don't look like criminals, but they are gangsters. Nothing more, nothing less. Priests, the priest craft, are gangsters. And you have insight now from page 36 on how they roll. Okay? How they roll. How they are using dark, black, Babylonian magic to put and keep you under a spell where your eyes and ears are uncoupled from your mind. In other words, you're under a spell and you're out of your mind. Concretely, a Han-Uman, half man, half monkey, is standing in front of you. Han-Uman, a human. Human is a consolidated or condensed form, contracted form rather, of Han-Uman. Han-Uman is on the public record as being a half man, half monkey. Half man, half chimpanzee. That is a hybrid. It's also in a dictionary. You can go check it yourself. I think it's the Oxford, I don't remember the year, where the British are recorded, memorialized in the dictionary as being hybrids. And of course, it's also recorded in scientific circles on the public record that the Neanderthal were our cavemen. Okay, yo? Anyway, let's keep going through these points. So that's what they're doing to you. Pimps, pushers, and hustlers. All of you so-called black people, you low level, you're pretend gangsters. You don't know nothing about what being a gangster is. You're being a gangster, killing people or bullying people in your own neighborhood. These gangsters are global. Okay, they're the real thugs and hoodlums and menaces to society. It's them. Anyway, let's keep going. Number 10, or the 10th. We're back on the topic of the cup of salvation, y'all. Page 235. This cup is the New Testament in my blood. Let me say that again. 10. Quote unquote. This cup is the New Testament in my blood, says the Bacchus of the Gospels. The Bacchus of the Gospel is Jesus Christ. That's in Luke chapter 22, verse 20. So the cup of salvation is the New Testament in my blood. As in his tipsy character. Says the Bacchus of the Gospel. As in his tipsy character. In other words, his character what? He's known to be drunk and he acts like a drunk. So he has a character of a drunk. That ain't good, y'all. He speaks of the cup being in the wine. Y'all see that? He speaks of the cup being in the wine instead of the wine being in the cup where he's drunk. Y'all see that? He's drunk. So he's talking crazy. Listen, the cup, quote unquote, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. Okay? So he got to be drunk to say that. If y'all listen to it, he speaks of the cup being in the wine instead of the wine being in the cup. 11. It is the cup of the everlasting covenant, Hebrews chapter 12, because the covenant or coming of the sun to the line of the equator indicates the time of the autumn equinox, when the grapes are ripe for the vintage. Okay, y'all, so that one's obvious. 11, it is the blood of the everlasting covenant. Now, y'all, this has to do with the corruption of the blood that we see in law. So the wine, the grape juice, the wine is the blood of the covenant that Moses sprinkled on the people. Okay, y'all? Which is where the Gospels got that concept from. It is the blood of the everlasting covenant that's referenced in Hebrews chapter 12. And what's the covenant? The covenant of grace. The covenant of grace. The covenant of labor is the spring equinox. 12. The cup of salvation, it is, quote unquote, the cup of the blessing which we bless. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 16, quote unquote. Because through eternal ages, men did pledge therein health and prosperity to all good men, end quote. Okay? So it is the cup of blessing which we bless. That's right. Right? Health and salvation to all good men. And then we drink the wine. Let's continue. 13. It is the cup of abomination. And of all abominable things. This is in Revelation. So it is the cup of abomination and of all abominable things. as spoken of in the book of Revelation. Because the time for filling up that cup is the beginning of the fall of the year, the Ab-Omen. So the Ab-Omen, Ab-Omen, of the coming winter. All right. So when it's wine making season, when it's vintage season, you go to the wine press, you make your grapes. September 29th, that's the last day to make wine. The grapes after that, not good for anything but making vinegar. And that is the omen or the sign that winter is coming. Winter is next. Winter begins October 1. That's the winter months. That's what he's talking about. So it is an ab-omen. It is an omen. It is a sign that winter is coming. Y'all got it? Winter is abominable. Why? Because it's dark. Nights become longer than day. And when you can't see, you can get tricked. Right? You can get hurt. You can get robbed. Okay, the animals are out. All of these bad things can happen to you. In other words, wicked, evil things happen in the dark. And it's cold. And it's cold, and you need to stay warm. So that's the abominable things, okay? All right. So let's continue with the paragraph. And the croaking raven rising southeast by east, so that's another constellation, right? The raven is another constellation, immediately after the cup. Okay, so the constellation, so there's the crater, and then the raven is rising southeast by east, immediately after the cup. So we have the crater constellation, and then the raven rising southeast by east. Okay, so rising southeast by east, immediately after that cup, the crater, the cup of salvation, pecks the snake's back to make it drop and spill its precious content. So the cup of salvation is sitting on the eel. Okay, the cup of salvation is sitting on the eel. Y'all remember that? The eel, so therefore the eel is a constellation. The electric eel is a slippery fish. So the raven, as it says here, pecks at the snake's back to make it drop and spill the precious content of the crater. When the cup, sitting west by south, yields the ascendancy to the infernal serpent, okay, so this is constellation, who seems about to seize the crown of heaven, and to, quote, the scorpions having stings in their tails, end quote, and to their king, the royal star, Antares, the abandoned, the king of the bottomless pit. What's the bottomless pit? The winter solstice. So this is telling us what constellations we will see in winter. Okay? The bottomless pit is the winter solstice. Bottomless pit because space is said to have no bottom. It's boundless. Okay? Winter solstice is dark. It's the darkest day of the year. Right? In terms of the nighttime hours reach their maximum at the winter solstice. So it's dense darkness. It's a bottomless pit. And it's so cold that it's hot. It's so cold that it's hot, as in freezer burn, as in frostbite, as in hell and Tommy. Excuse me, y'all. Now pretend ye, sirs, again, through ages of an infinite antiquity, before our ridiculously pretended era of the birth of Christ. Our pagan ancestors had been taught to believe that Mars, the god of battles, from whom our name of the month March is derived, surnamed by the Greeks Aries, from which the lattice formed their name of the constellation Aries. Aries the ram, had been drowned in this cup of Bacchus, indifferently called the cup, the crater, the bowl, the goblet, the barrel, the tun or tun, T-U-N, the hog's head, or anything else whose association is the idea of holding wine. Wow, so Aries is said to have been drowned in this cup or barrel of wine, the cup of salvation. And he was drowned by the two brothers, the giants Othus and Ephialtes. The astronomical solution to that theological allegory is clear as day. But sensible men always knew what was meant by the orthodoxy that forbade the appearance of Mars in the presence of Bacchus. Okay, so the orthodoxy says that Mars cannot appear in the presence of Bacchus. For if any hostile feeling against any man were found to obtrude itself at the festival board, quote unquote, or in any care or grief remain, will drown it in the bowl. And this is the moral, wait y'all, and this is the morality of heaven itself. Sirs, here is the bowl, whose coming to the zenith throws Aries west by north, below the horizon. That's the celestial horizon. And here are the giants, at the moment rising east by north, laying their heads together. So, through infinite ages was the harvest home, or gathering in of the last grapes of the vintage, celebrated by pantomimes and allegorical tragedies, similar to such as our sailors to this day perform on shipboard on passing the line. Allegorical tragedies were the first origins not merely of our theatrical, but of our pulpit performances. See, not just tragedies that you go to the play or to the theater to see in a play, but these allegories were also tragedies that you go see at the church, the pulpit performances, the God show, right? The theater, the God show at church. And tragical indeed have they proved to human happiness ever since the hypocrites, the hypocrites, that is, the hypocrites, and never was there a priest on earth, but who was a hypocrite. They are all hypocrites according to the author. Have been for making us pay for their performances and sending us to prison for finding out the meaning of them. Yeah, you need to pay to go see the God show. You need to put some money in the plate. We'll put some fiat in the plate now. You need to give a monthly tithe. You need to give to this fund and that fund to see the performance, right? Next, what they're going to start doing? Selling tickets to get in? Huh, y'all? And as the author says here, they want to put you in prison if you're somebody like me who's telling you it's just a God show. They're just putting on a show. All of them are hypocrites, gangsters, criminals. The name of the tragedy is precisely the same as the name of the gospel. Uh-oh, y'all. The one, and he gives Greek, literally signifying the old, O-D-E, the one, literally signifying the old spell or bringing down of the goat. Uh-oh, bringing down of the goat. When Capricornus, the goat, with the fish's tail, right, the fish goat, the hybrid, was the sign of the summer solstice, as the crab now is. Because so that's due to the precession of the equinoxes, right, y'all? And therefore must be brought down to the western horizon to bring the sun sun to the zenith. That's in the north at the summer solstice. When in the scales of September. Hold on, y'all. Let me read this again. When Capricornus, the goat with this fish's tail, was, so that's in another zodiacal age, the sign of the summer solstice, as the crab now is. The crab is Cancer, so Cancer is now the summer solstice, right? And therefore must be brought down. I'm trying to figure out who he's saying must be brought down. Is it Capricornus or the crab? Hold on. Let me read this. Okay, yeah, the goat, Capricornus, must be brought down to the western horizon to bring the sun to the zenith when in the scales of September. Okay, so that's when we are in the scales of September. Let's continue. Now, the key point for me here is the name of the tragedy. So this is a play, a type of play, a genre of play. The name of the tragedy is precisely the same as the name of the gospel. And here it is. The one, here it is, in Greek. Here it is. Can y'all see it? This is the name of the tragedy. Literally meaning the old, O-D-E, or spell. Okay, y'all? Or bringing down of Capricorn, or the bringing down of Capricorn, bringing down of the goat. When Capricorn was in the sign of the summer solstice. All right? And therefore must be brought down to the western horizon to bring the sun to the zenith. Why? Because they're all rotating together, right? They're all moving together. But it would be, I would love to be able to have the constellations drawn by a professional artist so I can just show you. So if y'all want to see that, you can send a donation to Zion Law School. PayPal.me/Zion Law School. Or you can go to my Patreon channel, which is Zion Law School, and you can make a donation there. Okay? And then I'll use those notes. I'll use those notes to hire a professional artist here to create these visual images of these depictions so I can just show y'all. It would be much easier to learn. And I've searched for this stuff on the internet and I haven't been able to find it. So it has to be created. It has to be created. All right? So if you are learning, if you appreciate what you're learning, or if you want other people to learn, whatever your motive might be, you can support this effort to have these constellations drawn. Children are so funny, so curious. A little boy just came over here and looking to see what I'm doing. Because this would be a whole heck of a lot easier to see, to understand, to comprehend, if I could just show you. Right? And then I could digitize them. I could also get them digitized and share them. Okay? Anyway, let's continue. The god spell or incantation of the Lamb of God, in precisely the same astronomy, brings the Lamb into the lowest pit of hell. That has to be, the Lamb goes to the lowest pit of hell. The Lamb is in the southern, the Lamb is in the position of the winter solstice. Let's continue. You have consequently the sun, sun, in the latter end of autumn, personated as Jesus, or personified as Jesus, in the Garden of Gethsemane. Okay, y'all? Quote unquote. And being in agony, y'all remember agony means the process of making wine. Agony is wine making. Page 233 in the footnote. In agony, literally, is a wine press. Its application to a state of human, whenever you see human, think Han Uman, to a state of human, to a state of Han Uman suffering, is metaphorical. Vengeance, avenger, vindication are technical to the business of the venter or to the business of winemaking. So, according to this author, in 1831, agony didn't have anything to do with pain. So, today, when you hear the word agony, if you get an image in your head of someone suffering or experiencing excruciating pain, just know that that's connotative linguistics. We have been put under a spell. Because what you should see is a wine press. People making wine. But what do you see? Someone suffering, someone experiencing pain. Okay, y'all? Words produce images in the brain. In fact, the brain works off of images at the conscious and subconscious level. So if you hear vengeance, or you see the word vengeance, an avenger, and you think about someone coming to do battle or do physical harm to someone, well, guess what? The image in your mind should see someone making wine, or the process of wine making. But you see someone with a sword, you religious people, you see someone with a sword in Hebrew Israelite or Roman garb coming to execute someone. Okay? This is the effect of connotative linguistics. The eyes have been uncoupled from the mind, and the ears have also been uncoupled from the mind, and we're seeing things that are not there. Back to page 236. And being in an agony, says St. Luke, that is, literally in a wine press. And being in an agony literally means, according to St. Luke, being in a wine press, his sweat was as great drops of blood falling to the ground, a bloody sweat, hideous in imagination and impossible in nature, but the very technical language itself of the process of winemaking. The word, and then he shows this Greek word again, translated great drops. So this Greek word translated great drops being nothing else than a syncopation of the word thryambus, a well-known appellative of the god Bacchus. That's on page 237. So I just read that from the last paragraph on page 236. Let me show it. So if anybody wants to take issue with this, it's on the screen. Let me show the whole screen. Y'all can stop the screen on the playback, read it. There's a link to the free PDF in the description area of this video. Y'all can download this PDF and read this yourself. While you're there, take a look at the books I've written on Ancient Ibaryath and my classes. Y'all read here. Okay? So this agony of Christ on the cross literally means the process of winemaking, vintage. And the drops of blood off of Christ's head is a signal that we're talking about vintage or winemaking. Okay? What blood? The blood of the grapes. Quote, unquote. And being in an agony, so here it is, y'all. There's nothing to hide. I'm showing y'all what I'm reading. The author is providing strong evidence. And being in an agony, says St. Luke, that is literally being in a wine press. His sweat was as great drops of blood falling to the ground. A bloody sweat, hideous in imagination and impossible in nature. I've never seen anyone sweat blood. Now I do remember when I was involved in the religion I was in. This was in the 90s. I remember this. In the 90s, in their religious literature, they wrote that medical scientists have said that when someone is under severe stress, they can sweat blood. And I always doubted that. I said, no, that can't be possible. I said, they're making it up. I'm talking about if it came from the medical sciences, I knew they were making it up. My intuition told me they were making that up to give people evidence to believe in the Gospels, to believe in Christianity, to be religious. Yeah. But that's what they do, right? They give you evidence. They manufacture evidence. And because they positioned themselves in your mind, or you allowed them to position themselves in your minds as experts and scholars, they know more than you do, same as I used to do. I used to be like that. You accept it. Even though your intuition tells you that's a bunch of BS, you still accept it. All right? So they played you. So, anyway, that Greek word translated drops of blood is nothing more than a syncopation of the word thryambus, a well-known appellative So appellative is, if I'm correct, an appellation of the god Bacchus. It is an appellation of the god Bacchus, quote unquote. And there appeared unto him an angel strengthening him. What angel could that be? But the angel of Michaelmas Day, the archangel. Remember, Michael the archangel is standing at the foot of the royal ark, holding it on his shoulder. Okay? Strengthening him, quote unquote, strengthening him, that is, or which means making him strong by putting more grapes into the agony, by putting more grapes into the wine press to make it sweet more than ever. But, quote unquote, when he had tasted the vinegar, he said, it is finished. The sweet grapes are no longer present. These grapes are sour. So the end of the winemaking season, the end of the vintage season is now. Why? Because the grapes ain't sweet no more. The grapes are not sweet. Okay? Winemaking season, vintage season is over. But, quote unquote, when he had tasted the vinegar, he said, it is finished. Winemaking season is finished. That is, when the great drops had left off falling, and only the thin and sour wine was pressed out, of the more stalks and skins could be drawn off, he said, the business is all over. Wine season is over. All we're getting here is sour wine. We can only make vinegar out of this. So let's switch up now. We're going to make vinegar. Wine season is over. Now we're going to start making vinegar. And thus, we can tell the clergy that, quote unquote, we know that this record is true, as we can tell them that we know their record is not true. Yeah, we know that this whole scene about Christ being crucified is about making wine. And we know that the record that you're saying, that Christ lived and walked the earth, he had a history, a biography, loved ones, friends, and family, that he actually breathed, took steps. We know that's all BS, that's all a lie. So, we are not giving you our full faith and credit any longer. Ours, according to the author, ours is the seat of everlasting curiosity, indefatigable research, that's a strange word, and still increasing knowledge. Our hearts are too full of the love of science. That's all we've been doing, right? So all we've been doing is science. Our hearts are too full of science to leave a faculty for the harboring of bad passions. Okay, we don't need your religious doctrines anymore. We know the science. We don't need belief systems anymore. We know the science. We have none. No desire for your religious stuff anymore. We've outgrown them. We've intellectually matured. We have become aware of nature and our relationship with nature. We don't need or want these passions, these doctrines that excite us emotionally. Don't need them. Get out of here. Go get a job. We have not time or leisure to be wickeded. Quote unquote. Where science dwells, the muses join their train. And gentlest arts of purest manners reign. Okay, so we're down to our last few sentences. Thus deal with thus deal with our priestly fables. That's the way you deal with these gospels, y'all. Walk away from them. Of both the Old and the New Testaments. That's right. That's right. Jeremiah 8:8. They wrote lies in the book of the law. And the only way you're going to discover those lies for yourself is to learn Ancient Ibaryath. And that's why I'm teaching Ancient Ibaryath. If you don't learn it yourself, you're in a position where you need to rely on a teacher, preacher, Moshe, Moreh, Rabbi, Imam, etc. While our priests answer us in the only way that is left for them to answer, that is, of their power. Their tyrannous, oppressive, and wicked power. That's what they do. Right? That's what they do. They killed the Christ, right? They killed Jesus. They used their power to influence the masses to turn against Jesus. They used it to influence the political system, Pontius Pilate, to have Jesus arrested and killed, crucified. They can drag us, that's men like me, who are teaching the truth, the faithful and true witness, who are teaching, revealing, showing, and proving through science that the Gospels are astrotheology and that the book of the law that the whole Old Testament is based on has lies in it. Has lies in it. So they can subject us, men like me, faithful and true witness, the most orthodox of the priests, if you will, right? They can subject us to be insulted by the mock solemnity and pompous shaking of a lawyer's wig. That means they drag you into the de facto judicial system upon a barber's block, and they will do so. That's what they do. That's what they do, right? Just like Jesus said, if they did it to me, they'll do it to you also. They can turn on us again the dreadful clanging bolts and bars of their Oakham jail. That's where they locked up this author, in the Oakham jail, for telling the masses that the Gospels are astrotheology and that there's astrotheology all through the Old Testament. Jeremiah 8 verse 8, y'all. I call on you. I'm calling on you in the viewing audience, sirs, men and women, to help to save me from them. So if y'all want to support my work, y'all can do that. I would appreciate it very much. And to check the triumph of the barbarous ignorance over persecuted philosophy. Islam to all the Moors. Shalom. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. The next lecture we will begin the lecture on Freemasonry Part 1. Freemasonry Part 1 on page 238. So we only got, y'all, the book is only 341 pages. So we're about 100 pages from completing the book. All right, so we're going to complete this fairly quickly. Okay, it won't take long to get through 100 pages at all. But, well, maybe we'll have to see. We'll have to see. We will have to see. Okay? But anyway, thank you everyone for supporting my project to write the book of the law in Ancient Ibaryath and modern English. We really need it. We really, really need it. The author has shown you. Well, the author has just informed you. Let me read it on page 237. Thus deal we with our priestly fables. And that's what I'm doing. I'm dealing with these priestly fables of both the Old Testament and the New Testament. That's what the whole project is about. To remove the Jeremiah 8:8 occurrences and to clearly show you in easy to understand modern English the astronomy and the astrology in the book of the law and the natural phenomena and the constitutional principles and the Hermetic laws, to clearly show it to you in modern English. In other words, to restore the book of the law to what it was before the priest started writing lies. Islam to all the Moors. Shalom. I'm Dr. Yusafa from Zion Law School. I'll be back in 12 to 24 hours.